guys, and welcome to another video, and today I'm going to show you, or do it via a voiceover, of how I warm up Allegro, also known as Leggy, who is classed as a tight horse. Well, I class him as a tight, tense horse. So basically what I do right at the beginning is I do walk to halt transitions, which I am doing right now, and what these transitions do is they just get him to sit on his behind a little bit, engage him a bit more. It also just makes me know that he's listening. I like to do this with every horse that I ride because it helps me know that they are listening to what I am doing. Now I'm basically just flexing him left and right, trying to move his neck as much as possible. Like I say, he can get quite tight and tense, so I need to make sure to move him around. We're doing a leg yield across the school now, and I will do this right the way across the menage from corner to corner. Again, anything I can do to loosen this horse's back up and neck up is great. What you can't really see that I'm doing right now is also moving his neck around. You can see it here. I'm moving him sideways, and then I'm bending him a little bit right, keeping him parallel, and then I'll start to bend him left in a minute. This is like his version of Pilates, basically, really stretching him out, moving him across the school. Now it's time for a travers, and I actually do these quite steep. The steeper you can do these, the more they can get their hind leg underneath them, and again, the more that they can stretch. Stretching is so important for this horse, and also horses that go on to do higher level work, and also horses that are just naturally tense. So here you can see that I'm trying to get him to stretch down in the trot, and I also hope that you'll see later on that he stretches better. But always to start with, it just takes me a little bit of time to get him to stretch down and onto the contact. And actually today, the day that I did this, I struggled quite a lot to get him to stretch down or to keep it down there. So what I'm doing to try and achieve that is really flexing him to the inside and the outside. The more you can flex them, so this is not bending, this is flexing. So a bend is basically if you can just see the inside of the horse's eyelash and they're just bending around your inside leg. But the flexion is when you do it a little bit more, it's a bit more exaggerated. I'm also trying to not get the trot too backwards. The more forwards I can get the trot, the more likely he is to take the contact down. Leggy is a very good horse at trying to hide behind the bit, and what happens a lot of the times when I pick my contact up is he actually wants to tuck himself away and tuck his nose underneath him, which is very bad. I don't want him to do that. I want him to take the contact out and forward. One of my instructors, Diane Breeze, always said to me, you want a horse to have a short back and a long neck. So I always think about this in my warm-up, that he's pushing his back end underneath him and he's taking the contact out and forwards. Okay, so up into the canter, I still haven't picked my reins up yet. I'm still trying to get him to go down onto the contact. Now, there's a little bit of a grey area here about people, whether they let their reins go in the canter. And I always say don't do this unless you absolutely 100% sure feel safe to do it. I know that I can keep Leggy in control with very little contact. But if you've got a horse that likes to run away, don't just throw the reins at them like I'm doing right now, because they'll probably end up just galloping away. But Leggy doesn't do that, so I'm really trying to move his neck around still, really trying to get him to take that contact forward and down. I'm pushing him forwards for a few strides here, because since this horse has learnt to collect, what he started doing is getting a little bit too collected, which I actually don't want him to do, especially in the warm-up. Here we go with a counter flexion, so I'm flexing him to the outside and back again to the inside. Again, the more you can do this, the more you can move their horses' necks around, the more likely they are to take that contact down and forward. Right, we're having a little change of rein. I actually wanted to do a trot to canter transition at this point, but he did a walk transition. Again, he sometimes gets a little bit too collected. And now you can see the muscle starting to show in the top of his neck. He's starting to take the contact down even more. I'm really using my hips to send that canter forward. What I'm thinking in my head at this point is to have that hind leg really coming underneath him and him taking the contact down and out. I'm trying not to let him curl up underneath me. That's why my reins are still quite long. Again, I know he won't gallop away with me, so I know I can do this with him. I also like to do lots of canter trot, canter transitions. one of the reasons I love those transitions so much is because they make the horse's hind leg a lot quicker. And if you ever read a lot of the dressage gurus like your Carl Hesters and your Gareth Hughes, they all rave about the canter transitions and how they do this with all of their horses, not just the lower level horses. So even if this is a movement that actually comes in at the lower levels, like the prelim and the novices, most riders will actually keep doing this with their horses all the way up the level. So even the Grand Prix horses, they'll do a lot of trot to canter transitions. Again, one, it just makes you aware that you've still got the basics established, because it's so important to keep your basics up to date, like doing these movements, but also it's just a wonderful exercise to make their hind legs a lot quicker, because if you actually look at the way that their legs move, they have to completely change the gait, completely change how they're moving, and it's just great to really engage them. So I will actually do this on both the reins, and that will just help him get his hind leg a bit quicker. And as you can see now, he's really starting to stretch down, and I hope you can see that he's stretching better than he did at the start of the lesson. He started to take his nose down a little bit more, and also you could just see it coming up from the long side now, and I hope you'll be able to see it again coming away, that you get that nice S shape in his tail. So that means I know that he's swinging his back end and he's really moving through his back and he's swinging his bum. So now I would say he's ready to do some of the high level movements. You can see here I'm doing a little bit of the piaffe, and I wouldn't be able to ask for this unless he was nice and loose. So a couple of the piaffe steps, and then I will also go on to work on his flying changes, which I'm doing now. I'm doing a little flying changes zigzag. There you go. And again, I would never ask for these moves unless I absolutely knew he was supple, loose, warmed up, and moving underneath me. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed that video of me explaining the warm-up to you. And if you liked it, be sure to like it and share it and tag your friends. And I will see you for the next one.